Hello, it's Amy, and welcome to Paper Moon Journals, or welcome back if you're returning. I have today a fun folio project that we make in the video. This is actually the project we made in the video. And then I'll be showing you how to make the base folio out of plain cardstock, and then we'll be decorating it using this Cafe Parisian papers. I actually made a second folio using the same project, the same papers, and it looks pretty different. It's really fun and exciting how different the same project can be just using different papers. And then I made yet another one using the Mother Goose papers that are also on sale from Graphic 45. Are you getting a theme here? Yeah, I bought a bunch of papers on sale and I'm making projects with them. I think these Cafe Parisian papers are so pretty, and there's plenty of room to put photos in here and to tuck it underneath. You could also put a photo on the back of the cut-aparts if you wanted. I think they're really cute. I like adding them to a journal project that I have, or just using them as a gift on their own right. They're great for if you're using them for photos for like a day or a weekend that you spent. Maybe you and your granddaughter spent the day baking cookies or making some pastries, or went out for a tea party or something like that. Then this folio would be great to decorate with those kinds of photos. And then again, if you have them digitally, you can shrink them down or resize them to fit them in the different places. I always end up cropping my photos, so that's how I do it. I love creating tuck spots for cards or photos, so you could glue the photo down under there and then also glue a photo onto the card if that's what you wanted. And I just, from the scraps of the different paper I had left over, cut out some tags. Adding some glitter really can add a nice touch to the papers. And then when I made the Mother Goose one, I turned it upside down, essentially, and then just rearranged the order that I closed the pages. So this one does not have a gusset on the left-hand side, but the PDF instructions that I'll share with you do. And the second one that I made has the gusset, and it's much nicer. Okay, so I like to start with 2 sheets of cards stacked on top of each other, and I'll be cutting them to 8 inches wide and then rotating it and cutting it to 8 inches tall, and we'll be using all of our offcuts. Let me jump in here with a picture of the draft PDF instructions. So pause the video and take a picture of this, or I will have a neater, more refined copy of the instructions available in my Etsy shop for just a few dollars. By the time the video goes up, the listing should already be available in my Etsy shop. Now that we've done that, we're going to attach one of our offcuts to the end. Let me get our sample, a sample that I've pre-made out. Again, it's missing the gusset that we'll be having on you'll be wanting to add to yours. And so we just add this sheet to the end in such a way so as to create a pocket on the end of our page. I like to get this piece scored first. Let me grab my scoreboard. And then to score it, well, you'll be doing it, I'll be directing you slightly different than what I'm doing. You want to score at 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 9, 9 1/4, and then if you rotate it to the opposite end, score at 2 inches. So we added an extra score at the beginning to make it close better when it's all done. Then we want to burnish in our score lines so we can see where all of our sections are. And you want to make sure that it's lined up straight when you burnish those in. And make sure everything closes. And you can see there is no gusset on the left-hand side of this project in front of us, but there is on yours. And again, I've made a few changes and corrections to the PDF, and I'll direct you correctly on screen, you know, with in the voiceover here, and the pop-ups on the screen will be correct, even though I might not, I've made some changes from what I did in the video to perfect it afterward. Usually I make a prototype and then we copy the prototype. This time we're making the prototype in the video. So I did things a little bit different here. I'm so busy at work. I know I've complained about that before, but pretty much January through May, or almost the first half of the year, I'm super busy at work, and I do enjoy crafting, but I just don't have the same amount of time available to do it. So the next thing is this. We had two pieces that were offcut that were 4 inches wide and 8 inches tall. And we'll be scoring one of them at 1/2 inch. The other one we already glued down to both extend our folio and create a pocket while doing so. So this will create a flap up. And I like it in the spot 1 over from the cover, what we're having the cover. It's just gonna all roll out from the cover. And then we have two long pieces. I'm not sure how wide they are. I suspect they're also 4 inches wide. Yes, of course. And 12 inches long. So I score that at 1/2 inch and then at 8.5 inches. And that will be our flap down. You could put it either way, but for me, this one goes on top. So I'm having the flap down go on top, and then the smaller flap that we made that's 7.5 inches. Either way, whatever way you want to do it. I think this one can be heavier, so it's kind of nice to have it on top. It can hold the other one down, but I've made so many of them now. I've done it either way, and it's fun. It's another way that you can personalize the project, in addition to deciding how you're going to close it. You just want to make sure you mark where the front and back cover are once you start making changes to how you're folding it shut. Okay, so I actually have this perhaps underneath. I don't think it stays this way. I think this one ends up on top of the other one because there's just more room for this one to close on top of the other one. And on the hinge that we made, I just push it all the way down to the bottom edge of the folio. And that's when I'm like, You can do it either way. And that'll be our cover. And that's it. The base folio has been constructed. If that's all you wanted to see, I'm glad you got what you wanted. You're welcome to leave. Decorate it with whatever you want. Or you can just leave me on and watch how I decorate it. So with the other long piece, I love to do this if you watch my videos. It's only 65-pound paper. So I just glue this other piece shut and I'll cut it into two 6-inch long tags that are 2 inches wide each. I'll use my tag top punch and then we'll decorate those as part of the folio. I think I may also grab, I do this with my scraps when I have leftover scraps. Often they're 2.5 inches wide. And I have a ring of those. So I think I grab a spare scrap tag that looks exactly like this, except wider possibly, from my ring of tags that I make from scraps. If you haven't seen that, it's a short video on my channel. Basically, you just glue them in half and then stick them in the tag top punch, add a ring. I like rounding the corners at the bottom. This is actually a wider piece, but I wanted to make sure that we used everything here. We could have used that piece to make pockets instead of gluing it shut. I did that with one of the ones that I made. I think that was the Mother Goose one that I've made and not really shared anywhere yet. Yep, there's a tag from my scrap pile. think I found it on the floor, to be honest. And then some rings. We'll punch these 2 that we made in the tag top punch. You can also just angle the corners. You don't have to have a tag top punch. You don't need to add the ring either. It makes it look so much nicer. The second one I made came out even better. I think partially because I wasn't filming and I just had the freedom to just do whatever and take my time. I wasn't trying to demonstrate anything in that one, so made it a bit easier. But I love my tag top punch. Let me get my eyelet setting tool. I'm going to use my Crocodile to set these. All right, you may notice that I've got my scrapbooking papers out. I had just some scraps left over from a recent project. So one I cut into 2 pieces so that it'll fit my tag top punch. It was 5 inches wide, so I just cut it into 2.5 inch wide pieces. We'll also use the tag top punch with those. And I'd like to get my cut aparts all cut apart and ready to go. If you add eyelets, it does make them a little bit thicker, but they just look so nice and finished. We could also glue these tags back to back to make it more sturdy. And then you'd have a 2-sided tag. I think I did something similar to that in my second one that I made using more of the papers from this collection and another page of cut aparts. So I didn't get this quite centered into my punch, so I'm just going to use my scissors to even things out a little. There we go. Why don't I get all my cut aparts ready and I'll meet you back here, ready to go. These papers are so pretty, aren't they? Okay, so from these sheets, I have cut pieces that were 4 inches wide exactly because I wanted to get the most from each sheet of paper that I could. And then I sort of regret that decision later. So that's not what's in my instructions because then I need to add a border strip or something to make it fit better on almost every one. But what you want to do is you want to cut 3 4¼ by 7 7/8 inch tall pieces. And that will cover our 3 widest sections. Then we cut 2 that are 4 inches wide by 7 7/8. That will fit the new sized cover piece that we made that's 4 1/4 inches until the score line. So that 4-inch piece should fit perfectly on the inside and the outside of your cover flap. Again, kind of ignore the mistakes that I made. So then it will affect my decorating decisions because I'll be adding this 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch of border strip to different things to make it fit. So I'm just using that to measure the 7 7/8 instead of getting my cutter back out to cut my border strip. And then I'll just be using wet glue. If you use glue stick, it tends to not warp or ripple quite as badly. Again, this paper isn't very sturdy. If I'd picked my craft card, it is more heavy duty than the cream. Actually, the cream is the most lightweight of all of the base card stock. I get it from Hobby Lobby. Both the black and the craft are more sturdy than this. I'm just trying to decide which side I want to put up. Both sides are so pretty. That's the challenge with 2-sided paper, isn't it? Trying to decide which one you want up. The other thing that I want to do is I want to make a pocket out of our image on the front cover and raise that up on chipboard. It'll do a couple things. It will add more dimension and make the project more interesting looking, more polished, more finished, less, yeah. It'll look great. And then we'll glue that down in a U shape to make a pocket behind it. So let me... Another thing that's fun is that if you just trim a 1/16 of an inch off, then I have that to trim out the gussets and make those a little bit thicker or sturdier if you trim those out on either side. Again, just playing around a little bit with what I have because I'm making the prototype in the video. So, but what I'm telling you and popping up on screen and in the PDF that you can buy are correct. I've made changes to the one that I shared earlier already. I tried to type it up and have it ready first, but I didn't get to try it out until I like to make a couple, really, before I have at least 2, usually 3, before I try to consider the instructions finalized. There's a couple images that would look nice on the cover. You pick the image that you like best for your cover. I'm having a hard time deciding. The images are 4x6. So to raise it on chipboard, we'll want a piece that's 4x6. Well, once I get the outside of the cover done, I then added the 3 large pieces, to the large sections, the largest sections, the 4.5-inch sections, and then the inside outer cover, all of the different 4-inch sections get pieces that are 3.5 inches wide. So then I cut all the pieces for those, and then there's special cuts for next to pockets and beside pockets. I'll have those popping up soon. I do miss some of the video. But here is what's going to be the back of our folio. And I couldn't decide which one to put. Both looked so nice. And then when we come back, I've already glued that down and we're inside now. And I'm adding pieces to inside that I've already have cut. And again, some of my pieces were cut too small. Where I needed 4 1/4, they were only cut 4 inches wide. So I'm using some 1/4-inch border strips to help make those fit better. You'll need one piece that's 3 3/4 inches wide by 7 7/8 for the flap up. I'll just tell you a lot of the cuts that you won't be seeing because you turned the camera off, got carried away decorating, and kind of finished it up without you all. Let me speed this up a little. I'll glue some things down. Again, some of my pieces, this should be 4 1/4 inch piece by 7 7/8 that I already had you cut. We're inside one of the large sections. And then for our flap up, we'll need to cut 2 pieces that are 3 3/4 inches wide by 7 1/8 inch tall because we lost a 1/2 inch to scoring it. And you use whichever papers you want from your paper collection. I was somewhat undecided, and I think I like my second choices from the other one better. I had, again, made some cutting errors on mine. I forgot to account or allow for that 1/2 inch missing off this piece in my original cut. So I'm just trimming that down to fit and adding it on. Now it's the right size. And then for the one where we created the narrow pocket, it needs to be 1 7/8 by 7 7/8 to cover up that narrow pocket. You won't get to see me do that here since I already apologized. I got carried away. This is the outside of our down flap. If you made your base folio the way I said in the instructions, you'll have an extra gusset on the left-hand side, like the sample I now have. So again, you score it at the 4 1/4 and then 4 1/2. And then let's take a look at the finished project again. I used some sari silk underneath the decoration on the center of the back cover. And I forgot to do that until after, so I just covered it with a piece of border later, dividing it in two, so that you could actually put 2 photos back there if you wanted. You may remember this is the same flip through from the beginning, maybe not. Hopefully you followed along with me and created it, and you'll be excited now to see it all finished. I fussy cut some elements out for decoration. Instead of cutting a piece to decorate the pocket, I actually just used that border strip to decorate the narrow tuck spot pocket and use those cut aparts inside. Well, thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you found this interesting, entertaining, maybe inspiring. I would love it if you would give this folio a try. Please tag me in it so that I know that you've made it and I can check out what you've made. I would love to see what you made with this same project using your own papers, or maybe you followed along using the same papers but did it in a different way. Like I said, I know I did that a second time. Check it out on my other social media accounts if you want to see that. Maybe I'll get the YouTube short up here. I don't think I got it under a minute. So in the Graphic 45 Facebook group, I know I'll share the second one that I made in there. Again, I love how this came out. Lots of spots for photos, really pretty and interactive. If you just love the paper collections, it's a nice celebration of the paper collection. I used a lot of the floral patterns and other papers in the other one that I made. Again, it's really fun. You can take this same project, turn it into a Christmas project or an Easter project, whatever you wanted, depending on the papers that you use. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, please have a wonderful day. I'll have the link to the Etsy with the PDF instructions in the description box. Thanks again.